Having a terrible boss is one of the easiest ways to ruin a job that would otherwise be good. But when you're interviewing, how do you tell the difference between a good boss and a bad boss? And when you're looking for a good boss, what are you even looking for? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 things that you need to be looking for in your next boss. Let's go. Now, the first thing that you need to be looking for is a clear vision and the ability to articulate that. So what does that mean? It means for the person who you're going to be reporting to, they should be able to say what they're looking to accomplish over the next 12, 18 months and what their strategies are to get there. And they should be able to communicate it in a way that makes sense to you, you understand, and ideally is inspiring. So when you're talking to someone in an interview, asking them, hey, when you look at the next 12 to 18 months for your team, what are your plans? What are your strategies for the future? They should be able to share with you something that is compelling, it's clear, and it's exciting to you. So the first thing that I would say that you need to look for in a manager is someone who can articulate a vision, it's clear, and it's compelling. Now, this next thing is incredibly important. It's someone who has a track record of strong mentorship and the employees on their team growing. And by growing, I mean being promoted, moving into more senior roles, perhaps coming leaders of their own. So that is something that you really need to look for in a boss. Now, the easiest way to do this is you want to find out, okay, what is their role, right? What department do they lead? Go on LinkedIn, find people who have the titles that would make sense to report into this person, right? If they're a engineering manager, look for mechanical engineers, look for senior mechanical engineers, and look for people who would be on their team at their company. How long have they been there and have they grown? Have they been promoted? Are they taking on secondary or third roles? I think that's really important. Another thing you can do in the interview towards the end when they ask if you have any questions, you can ask them, can you tell me about the last time someone on your team grew into a larger role? Something like that, right? Ask them a question. And they should be able to tell you a story about how they had someone on their team who's been able to grow and develop and ultimately take on more. That's clearly something that is really important to look for in a leader. The next thing that you need to be looking for is someone who can foster a good quality of culture, quality environment for you to exist in. Working in a very bad culture on a team can really drain you of your energy. And the culture that a team has is largely a reflection of the boss. What does the boss do to create a good environment for their people? What do they allow and what do they not allow? They have a huge hand to be played in how their team goes. So I like to ask in the interview, could you describe the culture of your team? And if you're lucky enough, believe me, I know this is probably going to sound weird, but if you're lucky enough to go to a panel interview and get to be interviewed by people who are on that team, you want to see, what is it like? Do they have enthusiasm? Do they feel like they have the ability to talk and speak up and ask questions? What does their level of enthusiasm in the process look like? I think it's really important to learn about the culture, so I always ask the leader about their team's individual culture. I ask what they do to create a culture for their team, what their vision is for that. I think it's really important. And one of the things you can actually do is you can actually reach out to people who work at that company and ask about company culture. Specifically, if they're close to or part of that team, it can be really helpful to get their perspective. Another thing I look for in a manager is compassion. You want someone who's actually going to care about you as a person. They're going to care about how their decisions impact you. They're going to care about the overall well-being of their people. That could be something that's a little bit harder to sense in an interview. But when you're evaluating your own boss, for example, do you feel like they have compassion towards their team? It is really important. And one of the ways you can find out if they actually have compassion in your team is you can ask them the question in the interview, what makes you proudest about the team you manage? And they're going to share stuff there, and it should be pretty clear how prideful they are of their people. And you should probably sense some compassion in the way they're telling that story. But it's a great way to just kind of probe a little bit and get some information. The last thing I look for is innovation. I think innovation is incredibly important. The ability to have new ideas, new strategies is pretty critical when it comes to the survival of an organization. Being able to avoid disruption, being able to evolve in a way that gives you a competitive advantage, that's really important. And that's important at every single level of an organization. And that also includes your boss. And having a boss who's innovative allows you to work on those muscles yourself. If you have a boss who's always coming up with new ideas, values innovation, they're probably going to help people on their team flex those muscles as well. Learn how to be innovative, learn how to change things up, learn how to ask the questions that lead to innovation. So finding a boss who does have those tendencies, can be innovative, I think it's a huge plus. Let me ask you, is there something I have not mentioned that you look for in a boss? If so, leave that comment below. Now, when you're interviewing, absolutely you want to assess, is this boss the type of person I want to work for? But if you want to impress them, you should go watch this video, because this video here is showing you ways that people are using ChatGPT to nail their interviews. And if you're not doing it, your competition is. So I'll see you over there.